I picked up the couch for free off Craigslist because I just moved and my budget was basically nothing. The post was short. Free couch, pick up tonight, no questions. The photo was blurry. Gray fabric, the most generic shape imaginable. The kind of couch you'd see in any apartment that's ever smelled like instant noodles. The seller texted me an address and then went silent. No name, no thanks, no please knock. Like they just needed it out of their house as fast as possible. Their place was at the end of a dead-end alley where the streetlights were so weak they only managed to stretch the trees into long, dirty-looking shadows. I pulled up and rang the bell. Nobody came. I rang again. Still nothing. The front door was cracked open about an inch, not enough to see anything but a strip of thick darkness and a damp, cold smell that rolled out like the breath of long-stored wood. The couch had been shoved onto the porch and parked directly under the yellow porch light, like it was something they'd left outside on purpose. The first weird thing was that it didn't smell like a home. Used furniture usually smells like people: detergent, smoke, cooking oil, perfume. This one didn't. It smelled cold and damp, like fabric that had lived in a basement so long it forgot what sunlight was. I told myself maybe their house was humid. I grabbed the couch from under the cushions to drag it, and the second my hands touched the fabric, I felt a chill flare through my palms, like the material had been resting against stone. It was heavy in a way that didn't make sense, not solid wood frame heavy, unbalanced heavy, like most of the weight was sitting on one side, forcing me to brace my legs so it wouldn't twist out of my grip. As I hauled it up, one of the legs scraped the porch step with a long, harsh vert, and right then, from the darkness behind that barely open door, I heard something tiny. No footsteps, no shifting, just a single inhale, like someone had been standing close to the door and accidentally let their breath slip. I froze for a beat, with my hands still on the couch. The door didn't open any wider. No one stepped out. Everything went still, like that sound had never happened. I told myself it was wind, exhaustion, my brain filling in blanks. I strapped the couch down, got in my car, and drove home. My new apartment was mostly empty. The living room had a rug and a TV stand, nothing else. I dropped the couch in the middle like it was enough to call the place home. When I sat on it, the cushions sank and rose back slowly, like old foam. What bothered me most was that the couch was quiet. Used furniture creaks. This one stayed silent, like it had learned not to make noise. That night, I heard breathing. Not mine. It came from the living room. One deep inhale, one slow exhale, perfectly steady, like someone sleeping right nearby. I sat up in bed and listened. The apartment was silent. No pets, no roommates. I stepped into the living room and flipped on the light. The couch sat there, innocent. I leaned down and pressed my ear to the cushion. Nothing. Just the faintest, soft settling of fabric, like it was relaxing after being disturbed. I turned the lights off and went back to bed. 10 minutes later, the breathing came again. Clearer, more even, almost deliberate, like someone trying to breathe quietly, not to hide, but to make sure I could hear just enough to stay awake. I turned on my bedside lamp, and the breathing stopped instantly, clean, abrupt, like someone realizing they were being watched. The next morning, I lifted the cushions and checked everything. No hollow space, no hidden compartment, just foam, fabric, wood. I actually laughed at myself for being scared of a couch until I went to set the cushion back down and noticed something caught under the wooden frame. A black strand. It looked like hair, but thicker than human hair. It looked like thread, but not normal thread. There was a faint sheen to it, like coarse silk. I tugged gently. It didn't move at all, like it had been tied deep inside the frame. I leaned closer and used my phone flashlight. In the shadow under the couch, it wasn't just one strand. It was a thin bundle, a few strands together like tiny roots disappearing into a place I couldn't see. I pulled my hand back and got this sudden feeling I'd touched something I wasn't supposed to. The second night, I set my phone up to record a time-lapse of the living room. I framed it so the couch, the rug, and my bedroom door were all visible. I even left a glass of water on the table as a reference point. If anyone came inside, I'd know. In the morning, I watched it back. No person, no shadow, nothing obvious. Except for one thing. There was a stretch in the middle of the night, almost exactly 2 hours, where the video was completely black, like the lens had been covered. Not like a power outage. The timestamp kept running, and the fridge hum in the background stayed steady, as if something had stood right in front of the camera, blocking it, without making a sound. I scrubbed back to the moment right before the blackout. For one frame, just one, I saw the couch closer to the camera than it should have been. The camera hadn't moved. The couch had. Only a few inches, but enough to make my skin crawl because I lived alone. I rushed into the living room and measured the distance from the couch to the edge of the rug. It was off. Not much, not sloppy, just slightly, like someone had nudged it with fingertips to make it sit more perfectly in place. I checked underneath again. The black bundle was still there, but now one section looked pulled tighter. A few strands lay flatter against the carpet, like they'd been dragged across it, leaving a faint scratchy mark in the dust. On the third night, because I couldn't stand feeling like I was losing my mind, I decided to sleep on the couch to prove to myself nothing was happening. I laid down with the lights off, leaving only a little glow from my phone screen so the darkness wouldn't feel absolute. The apartment was quiet. No voices, no TV, just the fridge and the soft breathing of the building itself. Near 1 a.m., I felt the couch vibrate gently, rhythmically, like there was a rib cage under my back, rising and falling. I opened my eyes, but I didn't turn my head. I didn't want to see anything, because I knew the moment you see it, you can never go back to being someone who hasn't. Then I heard it, breathing, right beside my ear. Not from the living room, from inside the cushion, right under the fabric. And the couch sank down next to me, slowly, carefully, like someone had just sat beside me, lightly, deliberately, trying not to startle me too hard. I went rigid. I didn't look. I couldn't. I just sprang up like I was shocked and ran to my bedroom, slammed the door, turned on the light, and sat with my back against the wall until morning. The next day, I didn't argue with myself anymore. I dragged the couch to the curb and reposted it on Craigslist. Free couch, pick up now. I wanted it out of my life fast and clean, the way you erase something you don't want to remember. Less than 10 minutes later, someone messaged, picked up. No questions, no address confirmation, no, is it heavy? Like they already knew. I opened my door. The couch was gone. No moving truck, no scraping, no voices in the hall, just a deep dent in my rug. Deeper than it should have been, like something extremely heavy had been pressing there for a long time. And that damp, cold smell still hung in the air, lingering like the breath of someone sleeping underground. I stood there staring at the dent, trying to breathe normally, trying to feel relieved. Then I looked down at my finger. Something was stuck to my index finger, a thin black strand. I couldn't remember touching anything, but it looked exactly like the bundle under the couch. I pulled it. It was longer than I expected, too long, like it didn't have an end. It slid through my fingers, cold and damp, and when I tugged harder, I felt a faint resistance, like something on the other end was holding on too. I let go. The black strand fell on the rug and landed perfectly in the center of the dent, like it belonged there. My phone buzzed. The last message from the person who'd picked up the couch was just one line. Thanks. It's back where it belongs. I stared at that sentence for a long time. Then I heard a sound inside my apartment. Not breathing, fabric, softly dragging, like someone pulling a cushion across the floor. I turned toward my bedroom. My bedroom door was a crack open, and in that dark slice, I couldn't see anything, but I heard a deep inhale, a slow exhale, the exact same breathing I'd heard from the couch, only now it wasn't coming from the living room anymore. It was coming from where I sleep. I gave the couch away. I'm just not sure I gave away what was inside it.